Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing okay out there. Tough times galore for everybody. We've got tariffs and potential war and a lot of divided communities. It's been real rough. So I wanted to get on here and talk to you about being broke and making it through hard times while you're broke. I don't know if you followed my story in the past. I might have shared it, but I had 6 of my own kids. I have 2 stepchildren. One of my stepchildren, I had her back when she was just a wee kid, like 2 years old, 3 years old. And we had a lot of mouths to feed. And a lot of times we were working on one income. And my husband didn't make a lot of money. It was really tough. There were times that it was really, really tough. The Lord always saw us through. But I had to learn how to make ends meet. Especially being a homeschooling mom all of those years. It was really hard. I had a husband that was divided. He, I think, was at war within himself. And part of him wanted me to stay home with our children and homeschool. And I think part of him wanted me to go earn money. And because I fought back and decided I'm going to stay home and raise all of these kids. I don't want them in the world. I wanted to give them a different upbringing than what I had. Because I did that, I wanted desperately for him to see a prosperous lifestyle here at home, even though we were broke. So I was trying really hard to create a nice home environment, plenty of food, everybody dressed okay, and just like the feeling that you're okay. I think if he were in the same corner I was mentally, we might have achieved that just fine, but he wasn't. I think he had different dreams. He just had different dreams. I would have gone through my whole life broke, and a lot of times I'm still broke and I make it through just fine. The Lord led me to a lot of good people that helped me learn how resources and how to make do with what I have, all of those things. And I can't tell you how much that's come into play now that I'm an older woman. I have grandchildren. My kids are older. They're dealing with this terrible economy with their kids. And it pleases me so much to find out that they are using recipes that I used when they were small. They are using tips and tricks that I used when they were small. It's carried through. And if you followed me, then you'll know they are a primary reason I opened this YouTube channel, was to continue the teaching and continue the motivation and the encouragement that they're going to need. This new generation, they're going to need it. They're really on their own. Last week, I was sitting here on the couch and I was doing something, but I heard this big swoosh and a bang, and I looked out front, and some kid, a teenager, drove his truck into my yard. He hit a culvert in the street and swerved and managed to drive straight into my front yard, just a few feet away from my bedroom, a few feet away. He managed to get in between my lamppost in my front yard and a power pole on the other side, and he squeezed right through there. He could have hit the power line, and had he done that, that power line would have gone into my dining room. Absolutely. What a mess. What a mess. I went outside and I asked him if he's okay. I shook his hand, just, talking to him, what's your name? He had the softest skin. He had the softest skin. Not one callus, not one blister, not one nick. I looked at his face, baby face. This kid had a baby face. He was fine. He was aloof, actually. He acted like this was nothing. Really frustrating. His mom came, and I've never seen such a thing. They acted as though nothing was wrong. Nothing. It wasn't their problem. They were just going to go and get a tow truck and have the truck towed away. He destroyed the 2 left tires, front and rear. He destroyed the rims. He smashed the bumper completely off the front. The whole left side was virtually destroyed. And if that were my child, I'd have been devastated. But nonetheless, she dismissed him and sent him home in her car. And she sat in the truck waiting for the tow truck guy. And it took hours for them to pull that car out of my yard. But she sent him home. No repercussions, nothing. And I could tell you right now, when times get tough, that boy, he won't know how to do anything to help himself or protect his family, nothing. I guarantee you this kid has no skills, no life skills. His mother didn't appear to have many life skills. I'm sorry to say, I don't want to talk bad about people. I'm not sure that's really talking bad about people. I'm just telling you what happened. These people didn't appear to really care or have any problem-solving skills. So I say that to you because this new generation of kids is a lot of them are that way. They don't have that. And then you've got a lot of kids that are, forming families, and they're starting to get into real life, and they're learning a lot, which the internet's great for, because they can Google how to make sourdough or how to, make something without eggs or butter. They're learning, they're trying. Back in my day, I didn't have that. I had the library. I had to go there and get a lot of books. And this is one of the books that I'm going to recommend to you. It's called the Tightwad Gazette. This is the complete Tightwad Gazette. Big, fat book. Now, what it is a collaboration of several newsletters that this woman had written many years ago. It is for anybody who wants to learn how to make do with what you have. Now, she covers a lot of ground, not just recipes on homemade granola, flour tortillas, bread, and stuff like that, but how to reuse things like torn jeans or toilet paper tubes, things like that. She really covers a lot of ground. One of the things that I think she talks about that's a little bit in the crosshairs for a lot of people is the job dilemma for the mom. You've got a lot of women out there who are taking the kids to daycare. They're going to work and they're there all day long, and then they pick up the babies at the end of the day, and that's their lives, and if you have to do that, trust me, I understand. I have had a lot of different life experiences. I understand that there's some things you cannot control, but I would challenge you to consider if it's at all possible to erase the child care whole lifestyle. The cost of it is extraordinary. If you have a spouse that's working and you can cut back, if you could pay off a car payment, get rid of the credit cards, get down to bare bones. If you could cut out the child care and stay home, you would save more than what you're making. I guarantee you would save more than what you're bringing in. You could do a better job by staying home, making sure everything's running smoothly. Your house is a ship. It's a ship. And if you have a ton of little holes poked all through your ship, that ship's gonna sink. So a lot of times as a helpmate, you could be at home plugging all of those holes. You find out you have a whole bunch of channels that you didn't realize you're paying for. Plug that hole, get rid of them. There's so much money that you could end up saving by making do with what you have. Now, I know you can look at the back of my room behind me. Looks like we're doing okay. We are doing okay. You know how long it took us to get to where we had anything that matched? And this stuff, this is an old tablecloth. I used to cover this. It was a horrible pillow. Really ugly pillow. I used an old tablecloth from Walmart to cover it up. I just sewed it and covered it up. Did that with all the ugly pillows. This same thing, some old material, covered up an old ugly pillow. I made do. The lamps match because I painted them that way. There's a lot of things that you could do to make do. I've been broke. I've been very, very broke. I told you about the children, raising them up, being pretty strapped for cash. And I still look back longingly. I loved those days, and I felt like we were doing okay. I was content. That's a key word there, is being content with what you have. But when my first marriage was coming to an end and my skills were very limited, I had an associate's degree from years and years ago, which is, very tip of the iceberg of what you're going to be able to do in this day and age. But my skills were really staying at home, taking care of children, teaching. And when my marriage was coming to an end, trying to find work with those skills was very hard, because where's your gap in work history is like, you have this 15-year gap. What have you been doing? How are you going to get work like that? And I remember I was in my rental house, actually down the street from where I live right now. The Lord is funny. And it was coming to an end of the lease. And I remember by then, my husband at the time, he'd already moved in with his girlfriend. And I was calling him and asking him, what do I do? I'm really afraid. I don't know what to do. And he had said to me to give him the remaining 2 children that I had at home, to give the kids to him. And I was so upset. I said, why would I give them, they're home, we're doing okay. And I said, I just need assistance. What do I do? I'm going to be homeless. And I'm facing the probability of getting a tent and living in the mountains here where I live. And he said to me, let me finish. Give me the kids and you go get your tent. That's what he said. And I was facing having to get a tent. I was terrified. I think I had 6 weeks left in that house. And from there, I had no prospects. None. I was really upset with the Lord because of the things that were going on in my life. Were my doing, but I was in a bad place. But the Lord still came through. He provided me jobs. He provided me an apartment. Someone had allowed me to move into an apartment in their complex that I could come in without a deposit, just make payments on the deposit, and then pay per month. And back then it was like, I think $700 a month, which is a dream, a steal now. But my gosh, it really saved our hides, and I managed to keep my last 2 kids at home. I homeschooled them as long as I could, and then there was a point where I had to put them in school because I had to work so much. It was just too hard to juggle. So I understand that whole dilemma. But if you can avoid it, if you have a solid house on solid ground and your husband's in agreement, try to cut back on what you're spending and get rid of that job and get home and start plugging those holes. Look into books like this. There are several. You can go on to a site called thriftbooks.com and get books for just so cheap pennies, few dollars for used books. And they let you know what the condition is of the book before you can commit to purchasing it. But you could get book after book on recipes, things to make at home, how to do those things. You're going to need them, because what I'm about to tell you, you might not like, but you're going to have to change your diets. If you're going to make it through these rough times, you're going to have to change how you eat. And if you think your kids won't touch it, maybe they won't, but when they're hungry enough, they will. If you have to resort to recipes with grains and vegetables, you might want some recipes on how to make those the best darn grains and vegetables that your family's ever had to afford to stretch your dollar. instead of purchasing those higher ticket priced items of meats and cheese, especially cheese is so much right now, things like that, go without it. Use the money that you would have spent on that to stock up on something. 1 month it could be flour, several pounds of flour, maybe 50, 100 pounds. Then the next month, rice. Then the next month, beans. And you just use that extra money that you could have bought a steak or roast. Roast is crazy right now. Even chicken's getting ridiculous. If you do this every week or bi-weekly, whenever you shop, if you cut out those things you're normally buying and put that money towards something else to buy massively bulk of. I'm talking bulk. Don't go 10 pounds is enough. No, I'm talking like 50 to 100 pounds bulk every month. And be careful how you use it. Ration it enough to where you could keep that momentum. And then before you know it, I tell you, before you know it, you will have a stockpile of food. And when tariffs come, or prices rise strangely overnight, or there's a shortage, or there's just uncertainty of any kind, you can go, hey, look, I don't have to go into the store. I have some noodles and some peas and a little milk, and I can make a kind of pasta with that for dinner, and we're good to go. And you don't have to go in. You've really got to look at things in a whole new light, because I don't feel personally that this is going to change anytime soon. I know the internet is flooded with probably thousands of people like me telling you to prep, doomsday stuff, the sky is falling. I'm not going to get into all of that about the sky falling and doomsday stuff. I'm just going to tell you this is a lifestyle that you might want to consider taking seriously, because things are volatile all the time. No matter who's a president, we have volatility. You have uncertainty. That boy could have driven into my house. We might have had to leave and live in a hotel for a while. Oh, incidentally, our heat's been out for almost 2 weeks. We have no clue what's wrong with it. The guy was supposed to come yesterday, but we've had snow and crazy wind, so he couldn't. Today, he's supposed to come again. So we've had to resort to space heaters, which I stockpiled space heaters a few years ago. I just started buying cheap ones, or people were giving them away, which I was shocked. And I was like, I'll take it. And then another year, we had bought firewood. I'd ordered, I think, a whole quart of firewood. And where I live in California, we're not like New Hampshire. We don't have that kind of cold. But we had a lot of firewood surplus from that purchase. And 2 weeks is a long time of cold. We've been able to use that firewood. It makes sense to have stuff put away. It just makes sense. I can't stress it enough. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to me, go for it. Put it in the comment box. Write me. Let me know what your thoughts are. I just want to share these things with you to encourage you that there's ways to get through what we're going through. There's just too much volatility to look that in the face and say, well, it'll pass. It does pass. A lot of times it does pass, and then something else comes up and it's ridiculous. You've got to be able to weather that storm. That's what it's all about. So hit me up if you want to talk. I hope that you guys are all doing okay. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. While you're clicking the like button, please hit the subscribe button. Let's grow this channel. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.